Hello Factorio people, welcome back to the broadcasts from Space Age. Episode 10. Last time we finished up on Vulcanus, and today we're going to go to Fulgora, get some stuff done. If you want to do the odd like, comment, subscribe for me, that would be great. Other than that, we'll jump straight into it, shall we? We're on our way back. Very slowly. Slow is good in the spaceships. You don't want to run into too many asteroids too quickly. We're on our way back. There's a few things we can do on Navis. Mostly. We'll get some research done. We'll tick off some of this research. Probably should actually discover Fulgora. Excuse me. It's actually kind of disappointing, the list of things you get from Orange Science. You get cliff explosives, which are obviously huge. Speed Module 3s are very good. Green belt, sorry I got a bad cough. Low density structure productivity is pretty good, but they're not like, when you look at the list of what you get from Fulgora, for example. Mark III personal batteries, mech armor, rail support foundations, personal Roboport Mark II, doesn't really compare, does it? Knowing what I know now, having done everything that's about to transpire in this episode, I think I would still go to Fulgora first next time. Of course, the only permutation I've not done is go to Gleba first. I'm just killing time here because we're on our way back. Right, there's some housekeeping things we can do on Navis when we're on our way back. I want to do something different with the science. This isn't future-proof at all. I did talk vaguely last time about maybe running another lane of belts here, but then I realised that there's something a lot more interesting we can do. And now that we've got some future-proofing done on Vulcanus, we don't have to be there any longer to do anything that we need. We can do stuff like get some foundries going around. So we want foundries anywhere and everywhere that we can use them. Big mining drills anywhere and everywhere that we can use them. So let's drop to Navis and we'll do a brief housekeeping phase. My favourite. We'll get this done. There's the planet! Yay! Does anyone else have this problem as well? Does anyone else have this problem where it's like an obvious box around the graphic of the dropping down, or is that just me? Couldn't find any bug reports or anything. Huzzah! We're back! Right, let's get some Navis stuff done. Navis is ticking over very nicely, nothing really went wrong while we were away. I've done a very simple upgrade planner over all the assemblers to make them Mark III, which will help. This will also improve our science production up to 60. It doesn't matter which one we pick, just pick any of them. 1.110 per second. What? Oh, these two haven't been upgraded yet. That makes more sense. Let's pick one that has been. Blue hasn't been, but these have. I don't know why I'm doing this. It is definitely... It's 75, it's not 60. It's 75. So this will get our science production up to 75 a minute, which is why on Vulcanus I only made 2 of these, because this is 72, but not every science needs every science pack, especially from the other planets, so you can kind of just get away with... yeah. Some simple module production, nothing too crazy yet. You'll see why later. But we just want some stuff, you know, you never know when you might want to put some Mark II modules into something. And quality modules, I'm not going to touch quality for a little while, there's no real need to touch quality for a little bit. I've added this contraption. This contraption is also in the blueprint book, which you can find linked down in the description below. As always, it sits on top of a Roboport, and it if you attach a roboport to the circuit network, you can get it to read various statistics. Most importantly of all, arguably most importantly of all, you can get it to read total logistics and total construction bots. And you can use that information to directly insert construction bots and logistics bots into a roboport should the numbers be lower than what you desire. Which is very helpful. So if you suddenly realise you've got a lot of construction jobs going, you're doing lots of, you're putting solar fields down or something, whatever, you can just up the number in the inserter and say, actually I'd rather have 300, and this will just keep going. These have an override stack size of 1, just so that it never overshoots the number, because that's kind of irritating to me, personally. If you say limit 300, but this can grab more than one at once, then it might, go to 301, 302 before it stops. So that was one of the housekeeping things we did. Yep, modules. Alright, and then we also did this horrendous thing over here. So I realised that rather than doing individual belts, or even half belts of each of the science, now that it's extremely easy to read the entire contents of a belt, then we can do lab sushi. So I spent a little bit of time designing this. Isn't it flipping glorious? It's loud. So the 6 science packs we make on Navvis come through, they're fed through, they get put into a priority splitter just so that each inserter is attached to a specific science pack. The same happens on the other side with space for each of the interplanetary sciences that can come down. And then the circuit network reads all of both belts, and it also reads this input belt as well, just so that it is a live up-to-date counter. And these inserters only work when the amount of science on the belt is below this constant here, I. Obviously all great programmers use I for their very small single time use variables, macro function variables, micro function variables. I don't know what I'm talking about, I'm making all of this up as I go. So I've said 50, just so that'll give you enough space on the belts, as you can see, and they're working. And as science is needed, and the inserter adds some more science to the belt. And it does work. It does actually work. I don't know why it suddenly stopped. Something is not working, clearly, but... Metallurgic science packs have run out. Ah, yes, that's why. That's why. The other housekeeping thing I did is I added a lot of stuff to the Vulcanus Mall. Well, I tidied it up. I did the same thing with the robots that I just spoke about on Navvis. And what I want to do is I want to also use this time to get Mark IV belts, turbo transport belts, to use their correct nomenclature. Because, as we saw earlier in the series, when we make the belts on Navvis, they're quite slow to make. Knowing now that we can make the foundry, we can make belts in the foundry, and it's very efficient, we can get a lot of productivity out of making green belts in a foundry. In fact, you can only make green belts in a foundry, and you can only make them on Vulcanus anyway, so that's all pretty irrelevant. And we'll use the logistics network to do that for us. So let me quickly plug that in and show you how it works. So yeah, science was slow / non-existent because I was also asking the Vulcanus shuttle to bring me some foundries and some big mining drills for our escapade. I'm still going to take nothing else beyond the 50 robots, but because I'm doing it in this sort of pseudo challenge mode sort of thing. But obviously it would behoove you to take your new toys. And this is why I decided to go to Fulgora in this order. because I wanted the big mining drills for the scrap and the foundries for the holmium. But obviously we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. What we're actually looking at is we're looking at the Beltmore. The wonderful Vulcanus Beltmore. It is not very complicated, as you can see. It is what it is. You make yellow belts, and then you make red belts, and then you make blue belts with some lubricant, and then you make green belts with some lubricant. The real bottleneck is / was the tungsten plates. And the tungsten plates needed more of themselves, so I added another 4 things to this, and also these foundries are not keeping up. 3 is still quite a lot, but it's still not keeping up just due to the sheer vast amount of copper that these are taking to make the tungsten plates. 32 a second. Which doesn't sound like a lot, because one foundry can make 93 a second. But we're still also then making the metallurgic science packs, and we need tungsten plates for that. Low density structures to launch rockets, because that was the other thing, is obviously we just launched a whole bunch of rockets to get the stuff into the shuttle, because the big mining drills are only 20 in a stack, 20 in a rocket I should say, and the foundries are only 5 in a rocket. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is 10 rockets worth of stuff just here, so obviously that put a bit of a what's the word I want? Demand on all of the stuff we need to launch rockets. Petroleum, light oil, etc. But this will still make green belts relatively fast. Like, we've already got 400 odd in here, and these stack to 100, and they're 50 in the rocket, so you will still need to launch a lot of rockets if you want to take green belts everywhere. But we're not going to use that many belts on Fulgora for reasons I will show you. So speaking of which, we can actually just bloody go to Fulgora. Except you need to definitely need to queue up the research for discovering Fulgora before you try and fly there. And that does also mean, rather strangely, that I am going to take the Vulcanus shuttle there, because obviously I'm not going to drop down all of these things and then load them in a rocket into the Fulgora shuttle. The Fulgora shuttle is... oh, this all can just go back down to the planet, thank you. The Fulgora shuttle is just there, ready to be built for when we need to start ferrying science backwards and forwards. And again, there's nothing stopping you from just using one shuttle and doing literal shuttle runs backwards and forwards like this, but eventually we're going to want one shuttle for each place, so may as well do it now while they're relatively inexpensive. Relatively. They're always going to be relatively inexpensive, I mean, like, while we've got the time to just have them being built. Alright, so I'll be back in a minute when we have discovered Fulgora. I just thought you might want to see this again. I know I wanted to see it again. It's good, isn't it? I like it. Did I put this in the blueprint book? That's a good question. No, I should do that. I'll put this in the blueprint book for you. I guess the problem is you need, like, everything. You need, like, all of this, so it'd be a bit messy. Because what you don't need is you don't need this. And I guess you don't need any of this. Just make sure that the science gets plugged in the way that you want. Lab. Sushi. The green belt goes to this substation so that you can hover over the substation and see over here. No, I missed. I missed completely. Over here, what the logistics network currently thinks is going on. Oh, I had to actually lower the UI size. Let me put it back while I remember. No, I'm going to leave it at least until I've gotten to the thing that the reason I needed to lower it anyway. Right, let's get rid of this. Okay, so let's just drop the rest of this science down so that that's at least on the planet, and we'll go to Fulgora, shall we? No, don't go. No, I wasn't ready. Go back. Turn around. Turn around. Turn around. Why aren't these going down? That was odd. That was very odd. Right, off. Now you can go to Fulgora. Okay. Yeah. There they are. I don't know why, that was very strange. It's like a timer on the trash slot. I'd never seen that before. Maybe I'd like overdone it with sending stuff. It was recharging these or something. I don't know. I'm going to pause the recording until I get there. I'm not going to do a wipe, so you might see a bit of a jump. Alright, that was probably awful. That probably looked horrendous. I'm sorry, I won't do that again. I just didn't. I forgot to make a save just before I got there, unfortunately. Nevertheless, we're there now. No drama at all. Guns are working totally fine. Belt's still full of ammo. It's all good. It's a good shuttle design. Oh no! No, 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 no. Go back. I didn't add a weight condition with a circuit condition to just make sure that we are always there. I hate that. I really hate that. Alright, okay. There it is! In retrospect, 25 foundries and 100 big mining drills may have been too many. On the other hand, you literally have to make them on Vulcanus, so you may as well bring as many as you can get away with. So we'll drop those down, we'll drop the robots down, and more importantly than anything, we'll drop ourselves down. Well, that box is so obvious to me, like even at a normal zoom level like that. I know I zoomed in quite badly before. I've landed exactly on this Fulgora lightning attractor. Okay, let's also not forget to send the ship back. Ignore that. Ignore that. Ignore that now. Just take it back to Vulcanus on its normal schedule. We'll just leave that going. Right, Fulgora. Welcome to Fulgora. Let's get my stuff. The main mechanic of Fulgora is that it has thunder. And if you're not in a Fulgoran lightning attractor's radius, or one of the ones that you can eventually build yourself, you are at risk of being struck by lightning. It does happen. It's not exceedingly common. I've seen it kill somebody in the game, not in real life, of course. The other mechanic is that we have this scrap and these islands. This seed is very lucky in that right up here is the Fulgoran Vault Ruin, which is the very first trigger technology you need. You just mine one and you get the recycler. You can use your bots to do this. When you use your bots to do it, it drops a load of rubbish, whereas at least if you mine it by hand, it goes straight into your inventory. Whereas if I get my bot to destroy this, then it puts a whole bunch of stuff on the floor, and it is, you know, annoying to deal with. Also, we have researched cliff explosives, and as such, it's quite annoying when we just sort of do very large deconstruct things like that, because it's also going to try and destroy the cliffs. So just make a quick deconstruction planner that blacklists cliffs when you're doing things like this, because even the generic trees one, that won't include the Fulgoran stuff, the ruins, so it's of no help to you at all. Right. And then this is scrap. And this is why we bought the big mining drills. So for the scrap, the main mechanic of Fulgora is that it's very easy to get certain intermediate products and not very easy to get other intermediate products at all. So the scrap has a chance to turn into any one of these things. And it will always turn into one of them. It's not quite in the same... I'm pretty sure it doesn't work quite in the same way that uranium processing works. You will always get one of these things, as opposed to uranium processing where there is a chance that you can get both. I don't know if that's still true, that might be a complete lie. But of course, coming down with nothing, it's quite difficult to know how to get started. because there's no coal on this planet. You can get copper plates. You can't get copper plates from scrap, so you can't make steam turbines. You can't get iron plates from scrap. You can't get pipes from scrap. You can get iron gear wheel from scrap, of course. Let's see if we get struck by lightning, shall we? It's these lightning rods. You need to be able to make at least one lightning rod, or you come back here. Because what is not hugely obvious is that when the lightning rod hits the lightning attractor, the electricity does actually permeate through the network for a brief moment. So what you can do, the best thing to do really, is to just make one stone furnace, plop that down, and then just handcraft this scrap until you get one solid fuel, which shouldn't take that long because solid fuel is on the 7%, and this only is 0.2 seconds to get going. Also, the music here is the best music. Trigger technology for holmium as well by getting the holmium ore. There's some solid fuel. Alright, so then with that we can make some stone bricks. With some stone bricks we can very easily make lightning rods, because steel plate and copper cable is abundant in the not only in the scrap but also in the ruins, so if you go around exploring. So we make one lightning rod, cancel the scrap production just so that that goes back into the top of our queue. So this says no power, but if you then build any power pole like this, probably best to put this somewhere else. So let's move to where there is actually some scrap. We put this here like this, then when lightning strikes this, lightning only strikes at night as well, so then the electricity will permeate through the network for a moment. You can use that to power some basic things at the beginning. And the next thing is, on the thing, is we need to make holmium plates, but obviously what we really want to do is we want to get some bootstrapping stuff done. We want to just sort of get going here. And we can do that quite easily. We'll need loads of bricks for lightning rods, and we will need to process the scrap. So to get the scrap processing automatically, we need this machine called a recycler. 20 steel plates, 40 iron gear wheels, 6 processing units, 20 concrete. Thankfully, that is all available through scrap recycling. So really, the best thing to do is just process scrap by hand until you've got enough to make a recycler. And then you can get the recycler to automate the scrap processing, because the scrap processing through the recycler is quite quick. So make one recycler, make one chest. We'll see how that goes. Alright, let's wait, let's roll the dice. What are we waiting on? We're waiting on 2 processing units now. Come on. 2% chance for each roll. 1 in 50, 5 times a second. Shouldn't take this long. Please! I don't know if this is like seeded or anything. I don't know if you can like save scum this. This really... oh, we got one, we got one. That was low density structure thing of research. Alright, we're just going to plough through all of these researches that we've got in our back pocket here. There's nothing really else to do with the science at the moment. Hey, there we go. Cancel the scrap production, get the steel chest, get the recycler done. Right, so the recycler will not have any power up and... whoops, good one. Up until lightning strikes this, and then it will have power for a few seconds. And which, you know, you can obviously still process it by hand, but really what you want to be doing in this time is walking around and getting even more scrap quickly from things like this. And again, you can use the deconstructor thing, but As you can see, it is quite annoying picking up all the stuff by hand, and the robots are, you know. We did replace our solar panels with fission reactors here, so we're not beholden to solar panels to recharge our robots. It's actually quite lucrative. If you can keep an eye out for any holmium roots, I don't think there are any. The other thing you'll notice is that the smaller islands have lots of scrap, and the bigger islands have small patches that are not very dense at all, and that is obviously by design. The big spaces for building don't have a lot of scrap. The idea is that you bring the scrap in, usually by trains, because you are unable to build on the oil ocean, and especially not on the deep oil ocean. So we want to automate some stuff. So let's bootstrap the base. So we just played the waiting game really for a little bit to get some stuff that we need. The other important mechanic to know is that scrap recycles into those things, but then these things recycle into their constituent parts for the most part. So if you open Factoriopedia on an item, it will tell you what it recycles into, but for the most part things recycle into what they were made out of. The only caveat to that is that won't involve a chemical process. So you can't like recycle sulfur and get petroleum out of it. You can't recycle ice, get water out of it. You can recycle processing units and get the circuits and the advanced circuits. Obviously you don't get the sulfuric acid. But it is in the Factoriopedia, so to make accumulators here you also need to recycle iron gear wheels into iron plates. Or you can recycle the iron sticks that you get from a lot of the ruins. So there's this nice little bootstrap design here for you in the blueprint book. If you don't have the big recyclers, obviously you can use a small recycler. The big recycler is overkill. It has filled this chest quite quickly. It's more that you can put more modules in it and has a bigger mining area and a lower resource drain, of course. Don't forget the 50% resource drain. So your scrap patches will last longer, especially these beginner ones, so you won't have to worry so much about getting trains set up too early. So here's all the scrap that you can get. This holmium ore is the important one. And I ummed and ahed for a long time about how I wanted to approach this. And I remember in my blind playthrough, I did it all with belts and things, and I built a big scrap sorter. And that was cool. But I remember thinking to myself, why did I not just use logistics robots for this? This planet is like built for logistics robots. It is deliberately designed, seems to be, for trains, logistics robots, and not belts. Like, very rarely need to use a belt. I did some exploring as well, just to see what was going on. You can see no individual... Oh, Breaking Force 6 has finished, hooray. You can see that none of the islands are particularly large. It doesn't expect you to build a very large base here. And in all honesty, you don't need a large base here. You can get things done relatively simply with logistics bots, but of course you need to be able to get logistics bots production up and running. That's fairly easy. Lubricant is the only thing that may confuse you slightly, but our MVP, the offshore pump, strikes again, and it just pumps out the infinite heavy oil. So we've got infinite heavy oil, which means we've got infinite lubricant. We just need to be able to build a chemical plant to start the process going. So from there, you know, engine units, that's fine. Iron gear wheels, we'll get pipes we can get from iron by recycling. Electronic circuits, there are two ways to get it. You can either recycle processing units, And the one thing I will say is that you have to just forget about how precious your processing units were up until this point. Obviously on now Vis and Fulgora and Vulcanus rather, like processing units, you know, they're always like gold dust, right? You spend so long getting them, it absolutely ruins your green circuit production, which ruins your copper production for the most part. It's very counterintuitive to then start slapping processing units in a recycler. But you've got to remember that this 86 million patch of scrap, 2% of that is processing units. So what's that? 1.6 million, 1.7 million with the rounding. 1.7 million processing units straight from the ground for free here. Even more if you use big mining drills, even more as your mining productivity goes up, even more again when you actually start making electromagnetic science packs and you can start researching scrap recycling productivity. So just remember that. Of course, if that really bothers you, then you can just turn the preponderance of iron gear wheels you get into iron plates and use that with the copper cable to make green circuits. But to just get things going, you can... Small Fulgora ruin is in the way. Just bung some processing units in here. You get 25% back of what you put in. So if it's gonna only ever if it's iron gear wheel, then that means there is a 25% chance of you getting an iron plate back. But when it is something like a processing unit which has 20 electronic circuits, it doesn't do a 25% chance of giving you 20 electronic circuits. It always gives you 5 electronic circuits. Like, see? Which is a bit weird, but you know. So you can get electronic circuits like that. So it's not too difficult to start getting some flying robot frames going. And then of course we've got our wonderful mall parameterization blueprint from the last time, which has ended up working very well. And you can just get some stuff going. So let's bootstrap the base for a second time, like that. Alright, we've got some lubricant being made down here. I've just used that to get a few... I will use that to get a few robot frames and engine units going. I've got some electric engine units on me already. Got 1 flying robot frame, got 5 logistics robots in my pocket, and then we're using the foolproof starter mall blueprint from last time to get you everything you need to then be able to make anything. Inserters, roboports, chests, assembly machines. So let's get the logistics bots up and running. Let's start taking the iron. And then the other thing we need to do is also make sure that they have access to this stuff. And those of course have immediately gone in there, but if we just take some of this stuff, the steel, the iron gear wheels for example. You have to use the iron gear wheels to make iron. So you have to make sure that you've got a recycler set up to request iron gear wheels and make and recycle the iron gear wheels if you don't have enough iron. So this inserter needs a logistics connection for, you know, like as much iron as you think you're gonna need in backlog in storage. And then obviously we'll automate this a bit more for now. In the future, but for now, you know, this will just tick over very slowly, but you know, we can bootstrap this. So what are we missing? We're missing green circuits, I guess, is an important thing for robots to need. To put into these, we're going to need assemblers for this. Yeah, that's missing. The inserter itself, yeah, probably should have handcrafted some inserters. Which means I'm now handcrafting the green circuits because I just put them all in a chest. That's why I had them in the first place. That's better. So you, I guess, are needed. You're needed. I need some of that steel back. I didn't need the yellow ones, turns out I needed the blue ones. Yeah, 5 logistics spots is obviously not enough, but it will get you going. Need an assembler to make the assemblers. Yeah, you can definitely do a better job of this. Like, definitely do a better job of this. I have not done the best job of this at all. No, I want this. Let me do this myself. Thank you. Oh, there's no construction robot in the network at the moment anyway, so it's fine. Oh, I guess that one actually needed to go. Oh my god, what is wrong with me? I need some of these back. Where did all those circuits go? This is a shambles. Just give me these. It's fine. Why do? Which one do I definitely want? This one. But I need those circuits back. Yeah, I should have recycled more. Definitely should have had more recycling being done on the processing units. In you go. You can't put productivity modules in this, just to head that question off at a pass. So it is slow incremental progress, but that's just the game of Factorio for you, and as long as you can work out exactly how to make the progress that you need to make. So this inserter will go here to make sure that we can now make assemblers, then we've got everything we need to make these assemblers. We may need to ferry some of this stuff across, you know, there's loads of this stuff here. You can just bring this over. And let's put one construction bot in the network. Why do I only have 49? Oh, I think I lost one to lightning. There we go, alright, so then we'll let this one construction robot do everything it can do. And the snowball effect begins. In theory. There we go, alright, so these are very slowly getting filled in as the construction robot gets its tasks. Okay. Good stuff, alright. Let's build some more things, shall we? Alright, not much time has passed, as you can probably tell. I've expanded the scrap mining to just sort of get things done automatically into purple chests. There should be purple chests there like that. The logistics robots. Purple chests automatically send things to the logistics network. They never get stuff placed in them. And robots are tasked to pick the things up from them. So those will then just go into here, and then the robots will sort it. We're recycling processing units up until there are 500 green circuits in the network, and then we're also building stack inserters just to get this done, because this is very slow without a green inserter to get these iron gear wheels in. Pipes, electric engine units, these robot frames are now being automatically made in the mall, so whenever we need to add more logistics robots we just pick up what we've got there. Recyclers and lubricant. I'm going to move the fluid around in barrels because I feel like that's funny. Eventually I don't want any belts in this base. I'm going to like load trains automatically via like miners. I'm going to put miners like directly facing into a cargo wagon. So like really? Can you not ghost a cargo wagon on ghost? Yeah, I know. Well, what is that then, Factorio? Like that, basically. Imagine that. So that's the stupid challenge I've set for myself on Fulgora, is no belts. No belts allowed. But obviously for now we just need some belts. Just to get things up and running. Right. So now we can do holmium. At long last, the one thing that we've been doing all of this for is to get the trigger technology holmium plates, 50 holmium plates. Very easy. You need to make holmium solution first, and we will use pipes for this, seeing as the water is right there. We're melting the ice into water. That's how you get water on Fulgora. It's very easy, efficient. You get 20 water per second. You only need 1 water per second per chemical plant to get the holmium solution. And then this is why we brought the foundries. So the foundries turn the holmium solution directly into holmium plates. Don't know why I put that there like that. Probably should put that there like that. And then of course the foundries have your 50% productivity. So the whole process is bottlenecked by how much holmium ore you can get, and holmium ore is only 1% from the scrap. The reason I've got so much of it is because there are holmium ore like roots on these, which are just one-time things that you can destroy just to get you some. And then we will just plug that in here. This makes 10 holmium solution a second. This needs 80 holmium solution a second. So yeah, don't worry too much about that. We'll just string these down here as and when we get more, but for now we don't really have that much. You need 8 recyclers running full tilt to get the 0.2 holmium ore a second to fully saturate 1 chemical plant. Obviously those numbers will change as productivity goes up and as we get productivity modules for these. But obviously the 50%, I'm saying obviously a lot, I realise the 50% built-in productivity for the holmium plates from the foundry is very useful. Once we've made 50 of these, we'll get our trigger technology for the electromagnetic plant. My favourite of the new buildings. There it is. They're very easy to make. This the refined concrete really that is annoying. But seeing as we're barrelling water, we barrel the fluids so that we can use them in the logistics network. I don't know if that was obvious. I don't know if I should explain that. If you get steel, turn the steel into barrels. Barrels have absolutely no purpose beyond cliff explosives to put fluids in, so that you can move fluids on belts or via inserters or via trains or whatever. Interestingly, this is why I've done this, is that you can't put holmium solution in a barrel. I don't know why. Don't know why that is the one fluid that won't let you. Well, that's not strictly true, because you also can't put electrolyte in a barrel either. But you can put the other new fluids in barrels. You can put the fluoroketone into barrels. I guess you can't barrel the molten lava, so I guess maybe that's yeah. So the lubricant is going into this chest, and then that's going over here and just being made into electric engines like this. And then so we'll do the same with the water for the refined concrete. So we'll get that production line set up and we'll make electromagnetic plants. And these are extremely good. Imagine the foundry, but for things that the electromagnetic plant can make, which, oh boy, oh boy. Okay, so we can automate this. Just bottlenecked by processing units and steel plates, but that's okay. We can rob Peter to pay Paul on this one. Why did I put them in there and just not put them straight in the assembler? That makes much more sense. So electromagnetic plants, they can only be made on Fulgora. They have a crafting speed of 2, they have 5 module slots, they have 50% base productivity. Mostly they are the same as the foundry in that regard. Foundry has a crafting speed of 4, I guess. They have a 4x4 footprint, but they make all of the good stuff. Think of a good item in Factorio. Green circuits, good choice. Yeah, they make green circuits at 50% productivity. Why not? Processing units at 50% productivity? Yeah, sure, go for it. Accumulators at 50% productivity? Yeah, you love to see it. And they, of course, make themselves at 50% productivity, so that's also extremely helpful. I haven't done a more parameterization for this yet, but you can still use the existing blueprint, pick the thing that you want, and then just delete it and replace it for the thing that you're going to make, because obviously the important stuff all happens in the logistics chests anyway. This bit is really not the tedious part, it's this bit that's the tedious part. They're quite power hungry, but that's fine, because you can also use them to make modules, so you can now suddenly get 50% extra modules. So making efficiency modules is extremely easy. Again, they only need 3 before they hit the 80% limit, in the same way that the miners do. You see I've set another lot of this up just to double the speed of this. We're basically limited by logistics robot throughput, so let's inject some robots, shall we? It is a bit odd, the things that you can't make in an electromagnetic power plant. Why you can't make electric engines in an electromagnetic plant, I don't know. But you definitely can't. You can't then make the robot frames either. What was this making? Electromagnetic plants, yeah, there we go. You can't make the robot frames. But obviously anything else, you can make power poles in there, but you know. So we'll let this tick over for a bit. Make some more electromagnetic plants. We'll use another one to build, I don't know, lightning rods seems like a good one, because lightning rods are on the in the RoboGrid blueprint, which is like this. So this is the it's set by the width of the substations. So this will completely cover the ground in power supply. But you can see that we're running out of electricity as soon as we put these electromagnetic plants in. The power supply is running low, but that's okay. We've got these accumulators coming in. It seems to be the more lightning rods you have, the more lightning strikes in that area. Like, it makes, in one way it makes sense, in another way it doesn't make sense. It just... So that's why there's a lightning rod on every single one, even though it's a bit overkill. Like, this one technically isn't protecting anything, but it is still just another spot for the lightning RNG to hit. So overnight, power is not a problem. You just need enough accumulators to keep everything running throughout the day. But now that we've got the electromagnetic plants, that shouldn't be a problem. We'll just move the accumulators somewhere else in a minute. Despite what I was saying earlier, I do actually think it is probably prudent to manually make green circuits rather than recycling processing units, because copper cable is ridiculously abundant. You don't use it for very many things, and most of those things you can make in an electromagnetic plant anyway, so you may as well. You don't necessarily have to recycle this into copper for much, and even if you do, there's always low density structures that you can recycle into copper anyway. 20 copper plates, so for each low density structure you're recycling, you're getting 5 copper plates back, so you know, 50 of one, half a dozen of the other. And obviously iron plates are extremely free. Fulgora, extremely free. Like, I could set this inserter to be like 2,000 iron plates and it would still not really make a dent in the iron gear wheel supply. Alright. That's pretty good progress, in my opinion. Pretty good progress. We need to tackle the elephant in the room, which is what happens when this all becomes full of crap that you don't want, like stone and ice. Good question, I'm glad you asked. Alright, it's very easy. It's very easy. All you need is one decider combinator, one arithmetic combinator, which you don't even need the arithmetic combinator, but I'm going to do it anyway. A spare recycler or 2, or as many as you feel like you need. And some robots. You do need robots for this. There's another reason why I feel like robots are it's just the way to do it. If you, as we saw earlier, if you attach the circuit network to a logistics roboport, you can read logistics network contents. If you send that to a decider combinator, the decider combinator is now suddenly getting input for absolutely everything in your logistics network. The smart amongst you will have already realised where this is going. Using the wildcard symbol, this the yellow one, each, evaluates the condition for each input signal individually. So, if an input signal is more than, I don't know, let's say, just for argument's sake, because we're here, 5,000, then just output that. So now suddenly, on the output side, we're seeing each item in the logistics network that fulfills that condition, i.e. more than 5,000. Currently that is stone, which you can see here, 6,000. Solid fuel, 6,200. Not the copper cable, because it's only 3,999. This is why you then, in my opinion, want the arithmetic combinator, because then you send that each of those signals to the arithmetic combinator and times them by a nice round number like 100 and output them again, so output each one of those at 100. And then what you can now do in Factorio 2.0 is you can send that signal to a requester chest and say, set the requests from that circuit network condition. So then now this chest is automatically requesting anything in the logistics network that has more than 5,000. So it just throws the junk away. Oh, and it's probably a good idea to put that into a purple chest to get rid of it. Yes, there is a chance that it just gives you the thing straight back again, but at least you're getting rid of some of them. By putting it into a purple chest and then having that thing go straight back in the network, if, for example, we are recycling electric engine units for some silly reason and we get back the electronic circuits and the engine units, we are then at least stockpiling those until we then have more than 5,000 of those, and then we're stockpiling the iron and the copper until we have more than 5,000 of the iron and the copper. You have to think of everything in reverse on Fulgora, basically. You can have lots of stuff. It's worth keeping some of the stuff. You do not need to keep all of the stuff. And then you can just copy paste this, chain these together, you know, as and when. And for sanity's sake, I'm going to make this 10,000. I suppose you could do trash unrequested, so that if a request suddenly in the middle goes under 10,000, I guess you could then put them back into the network, but that seems a bit clunky and messy to me. You may as well just trash those and give you a little bit more leeway. So that's your foolproof recycler. That's here in the book, foolproof recycling. The only other thing here is just the accumulator grid. I'm going to move these over to up here in the space, because this space is space we want, really. We just want to expand this stuff over here, and we'll have the accumulator grid over on this island. And seeing as these are quite close together, we'll just bring the power over with electric pylons. I think I'm going to want more than 50 accumulators, to be honest with you. Give me 500. Give me 500, you never know. Alright, so that's how you get started on Fulgora. And oh my god, it's another hour-long episode. I apologise. I hope it was worthwhile. Is there anything else? Is there anything else in my save file list? No, foolproof recycling, that was the last of it. I thought so. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please let me know with a like or a comment. And if you want to see more broadcasts from Space Age, be sure to subscribe. Other than that, take care. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.